I just got done watching the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate Collection from episode 1 to 156, and I got a lot to talk about, so let's get started right now. Season 1 through Season 5 are my favorite seasons of all times in this collection. Fast forward on Season 6 and, back to the series on Season 7 was decent. Now, I think I fell in love with Season 1 and 5 because they reminded me of this comic collection right here. This is the original story of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, and it felt true, pretty much, a little bit different in the show to these comics. Good example, if you go to the second comic in here, you got April O'Neil working with Baxter Stockman on the Mousers, just like it did in the cartoon. The Shredder's in here too, and he also gets kicked off of a building and gets killed. But in the actual show, you think he dies, but he doesn't. Now, of course, he dies in this because he gets blown up, but the Turtles almost die as well in this. There is a lot more similarities to the comics here with the TV show. For a good example, you can see on the back Casey Jones, the Triceratons, and you get to see, the Utrons here with the Utron body. This was fantastic to know that this show back here was really based on this. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird actually in the show as cops. I think that was a pretty cool little thing. And overall, I loved it. I loved season 1 through season 5. Like I said, you get to see Shredder being killed many times. You think going off the building, getting his head chopped off by Leonardo at the last battle. You would think that would have been it until he picks up his head later on in the ending of the episode and puts it back on. To find out the twist of the whole story is that he's an Utron. Utron we know as Krang if you're from the 1987 cartoons. And it was a fantastic twist. Now, I know a lot of people, when they first watched the show, stopped watching it when they found out that Shredder was an Utron. And if you stopped at that point, I really suggest going back and finishing it because you will realize that this Shredder is actually in there, the original Shredder. Now, in season 5 is when the original Shredder actually does show up. But during all this rest of the seasons 1 through 5, you get to see all sorts of really cool things like, the Triceratons capturing the turtles and putting them in like this battle arena thing. You get to see, all kinds of things with April O'Neil and Casey Jones. And it is fantastic. Karate jumps in there at one point to battle the turtles to help save New York City from the gang war. And as you see, I'm happy about this. This was fantastic adaptation of the actual comic book. If it wasn't for this comic book, this show would have been bland to me because I didn't know anything about this show. I might have still fell in love with it, but when it comes down to later on in the show, you get the Ninja Tribunal, and the Ninja Tribunal is training the Ninja Turtles and another group to defeat the original Shredder because they knew the original Shredder was coming back. The original Shredder is the original Oroku Saki and not this Utron one that, raised Karai as his daughter. The original Shredder is now known as a demon. And again, that's a long backstory, but I think the overall concept was fantastic because, again, at least there's a reason why the Utron is Shredder. And the reason for that is when the Utrons landed on the planet in the, then what is it? The early Japanese years that you would see in feudal Japan years. There we go, feudal Japan. Is when the Utrons landed on this planet, and the evil Utron that we know now as Shredder would have probably saw the original Shredder being taken over and probably being killed and based himself around the Shredder. Now, the Ninja Tribunal part is interesting to me because all the Ninja Tribunal people look like Shredder, and it really freaked out the Turtles to know that the body armor of Shredder is a high-class armor that has magical powers, and it was fantastic to see them getting trained and having them show that Leonardo is getting put to the side pretty much. Like, it doesn't matter if Leo was like a big leader or not. They were pushing him to the side because they knew he had great power. And what's kind of interesting to me is if you watch the old 1987 cartoon and the Japanese take of that, they had the Super Turtles in the Japan show, and one of the Super Turtles of Leonardo was a dragon. And in this Ninja Tribunal, he has the spirits of the dragon. And they all become spirit of dragons, all the turtles, and it was kind of neat to see them transform. And they had to transform a few times in this show, even when the original Shredder takes over New York City. And even, Hun is scared of the original Shredder. Like I said, this is fantastic. He literally took his ties from Shredder away when they realized that Shredder was an Utron and he was unhappy with, working for somebody that was an alien pretty much. The first 5 seasons was packed full of goodness. That's what I'm going to say. And if you guys have seen the first 5 episodes, let me know your favorite parts of these episodes. I gotta say, my favorite part is really with Karai. Karai makes a character that I love to death, and I really wish they used more of her because what they did in the Michael Bay movies was okay, but not the same. I feel like she has a lot of character in the 2003 show. I do like how many Shredders are in this show, honestly, even way up to number 7. But something you really guys got to understand that when season 5 ended, there's something interesting that happens to the show. Season 5 ends, and then fast forward begins. Now, the way fast forward begins is with Mikey trying to watch his show, and Splinter takes the remote, and Mikey hits her with his toe, and they get transferred to 2150, the year 2150. When it does come to season 6, though, when it goes to fast forward, I have to say, now I gotta go grab my notes because those characters I don't remember. Okay, so first off, I know I did not go through all the characters on the 2003 first 5 seasons. I didn't think it was necessary to talk about, all the different characters, all the bad guys they fight, like Leatherhead's in it, and, the Garbage Man and stuff. These are just little side stories. Shredder's story, Karai, the Purple Dragons, Angela in there. It's all great stories, but I'm not trying to make a 3-hour video of this. This is just my opinion of this show, and I want to hear your guys' opinion in the comments. And don't forget that I do have a membership that some of my videos are going to be members only very soon. So remember this, but let's get back to Fast Forward. So in Fast Forward, we got some interesting characters. We got, Cody Jones. We got Agent Bishop. Now, Agent Bishop is interesting. We got to go back to season 1 through 5 with Agent Bishop because in 1 through 5 he is an evil character trying to make the ultimate warrior. But when fast forward comes along in the year 2150, he is still alive. Why? Because as we know, he is a super soldier. His brain gets transferred to different bodies every few years. Baxter Stockman helps him to get the ultimate body, so he doesn't have to do that. Well, when he gets into 2025, he makes the Alien Alliance group that keeps the humans safe with all the aliens on the planet. And that was pretty cool. I like that concept that he becomes a good guy. He has a few regrets, like leaving Baxter Stockman behind at one point, but that gets all fixed in the show. But Cody Jones is the relative of April O'Neil and Casey Jones. Now, before it actually hit, fast forward, they were still dating in season 5. Again, season 5 to season 6 is a mind-blowing situation because they don't explain what was going on. TMNT will solve that problem for you. Go watch season 1 through 5 and then click on TMNT and then go watch Fast Forward. You will understand what I'm talking about. Now, when it comes down to the robot character, Sterling, that was an interesting character because he's like the butler, the friendly guy that takes care of, Cody Jones, as his uncle runs the business of April O'Neil and Casey Jones called O'Neil Tech. Now, again, this has nothing to do with the original comic books or anything. This was just something they did. There's 26 episodes for season 6, and it was just basically a, let's sell toys. That's all it was. Let's sell these toys to our kids because the 2003 toys from season 1 to season 5 was not working. And so they kind of did a reverse play on the 1987 show. The 1987 show was bright, happy, friendly kid. And then when the movies came out and Batman, the animated series came out, they went dark for the 1987 cartoon. Well, this one stayed dark in 2003 until season 6 when Fast Forward came along to sell toys. And I gotta say, even the main villain of this was decent. He had a Shredder type look to him. and I can't remember his name off the back of my head. I wasn't a very big fan of Fast Forward. It was good for what it was. It was cheesy. It wasn't really meant for anything. It did have a good story plot. They explained how they got to the future, and that was because of Cody Jones trying to look into the past to see what happened. What because he has a notebook from April O'Neil and Casey Jones in his ultimate collection. He was a collector of the past of the Ninja Turtles. So he has like the Shredder armor. He has an Ultron, uh, mainframe, exoskeleton. He's got all kinds of cool stuff in this, history museum that's in his house. But he also has something called Turtle X. That is basically a mech that he hops in to help the turtles fight. But the thing about the fast forward is, I think it was kind of neat, was when they land in the fast forward era, 2150, they can't breathe. The atmosphere is different. They actually get saved by Sterling and gets these devices put on them to be able to breathe and walk because the air is so dense that they can't live without having a specialized device on. There are a few episodes where those devices are gone, and I don't know why, but whatever. And even the last episode before they continue on, they take off everything, and instead of falling down and can't breathe, they were fine, and they go through the, mirror that became a time portal. It's interesting, but there was another character called Viral, and that character is fast forward all the way up to Return to the Sewers or Back to the Sewers. But Viral is a minion of the main enemy, and she is electricity. She can actually go through the electricity of the household of Cody Jones. It was a fantastic character, but the way they destroyed her was by neutralizing her with protons, not Ghostbusters, but turning her into Data. It was neat. It was a good concept. Into Sterling. So Sterling at one point becomes Turtle X. So he has two forms. He becomes Sterling and Turtle X. Now don't get it backwards. Turtle X was its own thing at one point too in the show. And then they combined the two together to protect Cody because Sterling wanted to protect Cody. And it made sense. And I thought it was a great idea. Again, to me, Fast Forward was kind of boring. I did not really enjoy it, but it has some good parts to it. Again, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Fast Forward. But for me, it was a filler that I was not happy with. Now, when it comes down to Back to the Sewers, we got to talk about how they ended Fast Forward, because Fast Forward to Back to the Sewers is a big deal. Because when it comes down to the ending, they fixed the main portal that got him to the year 2150. And Sterling at this point has Viral in his system. There is no anything else to talk about really besides they're going to go through the portal and Viral regenerates herself to take over Sterling. And as she's doing that, they hop through the portal and Sterling gets thrown in the portal because of Viral. Viral hops out of Sterling and starts attacking the turtles to different dimensions, to the Jurassic period, to the medieval period, in this and that, and Donatello and all of them realize, oh, we need a neutralizer again with the same beam that we did originally. Now at this point they're in the portal and trying to get back to their main home back in the 2000, probably 2007 at this point, 2009, because the show has been on for a few years at this point. And when they were about ready to shoot her, she gets out of the way, but Master Splinter's in the way, so he gets put in data mode, little data chunks, kind of like if you defrag your computer, you get a little, anyways, a little geeky there. I know, it was kind of cool. But then it gets into, she throws them into one more loop that they were not expecting, was throwing them through their worst nightmares. And that was fighting 3 different Shredders. Now you got the original one, you got one called Cyber Shredder, and the other one wasn't really named, and I did not see a name of it online. If you guys know who the third Shredder was, let me know down below. They also got another character called Kun. Is that what's the name? Sorry guys, I got the notes over here. Kun, Khan, Khan. Now, Khan is Master Khan, and I'll get into that in a minute. But when they go to that one realm, Master Khan says, I destroyed you already. How are you back? Now, again, the Shredders are fighting each other because they want to be number one Shredder. And, you know what? I'm wrong. It was the original Shredder, the Ultron Shredder, and Cyber Shredder. Now, they finally realized how to defeat them to get back to their main home. And I kind of went backwards there. When they're finally going back home, Viral gets out of the way and Splinter gets shot. And Donatello has a hard time with this because Donatello feels like he did it because Donatello was actually in Turtle X or Sterling at that point. Now, Cody Jones is left back in 2025 or 2150, sorry. And Sterling now is in 2009 with the Turtles. Again, the Back to the Sewer show is, again, one of my. It was okay. It was a nice way to semi-end the concept show. And, you know, they got back to the, you know, grittiness. Now, the reason I haven't showed you the turtle comparison from TMNT to, you know, fast forward, because there was none. But when it gets into Back to the Sewers is when you can actually see the difference. Now, again, from fast forward to Back to the Sewers, they were gone for 3 months. According to April O'Neil and Casey Jones, that looked like this now, just like they did in the TMNT movie. Now, when the turtles get into Back to the Sewers, they have eyes. They look like this from the TMNT movie, just animated now. It is a crazy concept that I had when I watched TMNT. So from Back to the Future, from fast forward to Back to the Sewers, those 3 months, whereas a time lapse or a filler from season 5 to season 6, or it was a time lapse that would have happened in those 3 months if they stayed in present time. You guys decide how that worked. In my opinion, I think it's a filler episode from season 5 to season 6. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is the time difference between fast forward to Back to those 3 months that never happened. I don't know. But when it comes down to Back to the Sewers, Casey Jones is taking karate from Master Kun. And Master Kun is basically just hypnotizing everybody to do his dirty work. Master Kun is part of the Foot Clan. Now, the Foot Clan, you know, was destroyed a long time ago, and it's kind of interesting that Karai is not in Back to the Sewers until the very last episode, and she's a good guy. Now, again, if we go back to season 5, we know that she said until another day. We go back to TMNT, she says the same thing at the end of that, holding her foot soldier character. Yeah, so during this whole, you know, Master Kun era, we got a Casey Jones that has learned Ninjutsu and is very powerful, very strong, even knowing, you know, when they go back to look for the turtles back at, you know, Turtle Lair, you know, the turtles are in shadows because the alarm went off, and Casey Jones pretty much kicks their asses, and it was kind of neat to see because the turtles wasn't ready for that. You know, turtles are just getting home from this time warp. And April O'Neil tells the turtles, you know, he's not acting the same way as he used to, and it's because Master Kun's controlling him. Now, because of Master Kun controlling him, Master Kun knows all the secrets of the Ninja Turtles because of Casey Jones' big mouth. And that's okay, you know, whatever. But the main plot of this story is Cyber Shredder coming back. Now, how does Cyber Shredder become? We got Viral in cyberspace. When she lands on Earth in 2007, 2009, she gets trapped in cyberspace and she's looking for a power source to take over the world or to get back to the dimension she was. Well, she found the Foot Soldier's mainframe. And yeah, she touched it, and the antivirus or the firewall turns her into Cyber Shredder. Viral is gone, Cyber Shredder's there. And Donatello, like I said, is very depressed because he accidentally shot Shredder with the neutron beam and turned him into little, you know, data bits. Well, the whole show is basically Donatello trying to figure out a way to reform Master Splinter back to Master Splinter, and they go back and forth into the cyber world in Back to the Sewers. I don't know. I thought that was interesting concept. I know they were probably trying to go into the future, trying to keep up with the time period. So they fight Cyber Shredder in Cyber World. They fight him outside of Cyber World at one point when he's controlling Baxter Stockman's body. It's a mind blowing show, and it's only a few episodes. It's not that long of a show. They kind of like probably realized that they needed to end 2003 totals. The final battle with Cyber Shredder is actually at the very end episode where Casey Jones and April O'Neil is finally getting married. Now there is a plot in this season where Casey Jones does propose to April, and the ring he gives her is a yin and yang ring. And in that yin and yang ring, I don't know why I can't say it, it turns April O'Neil into a monster and releases all these monsters. And he has to get the ring off of her. She can't take it off herself. He has to do it. And Han is hunting this ring down for the ultimate power to take over Shredder when Shredder comes back, because he knew Cyber Shredder was coming. Now, what is Cyber Shredder? If you have not seen this, Back to the Sewers, Cyber Shredder is a clone of the Utron Shredder. Yes, the Utron cloned himself. Because in the original series, when the Utron Shredder gets frozen, now I did not talk about the whole plot. I don't want to talk about the whole plot. I just want to talk about pieces of it because I want you guys to go watch it. If you guys have never seen the 2003, I do not want to ruin it. I do not want too many spoilers, even though this has spoilers. But if you like this, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date everything we do on this channel. But when it comes down to the last episode and they destroy everything and they have their ceremony, they have Utron, they got Karai, Chocolate, why did I say chocolate? Karai and Chaplin and a lot of the other characters that's been in the show, watching them get married. It was a great ending. Casey Jones and April O'Neil gets, married. Cyber Shredder gets destroyed. Master Coon, gets destroyed pretty much. There is no, maybe be continued. Maybe no. The only person that really is there is Hun is left from the Purple Dragons because he really did not join. So yeah, so Han is still being Han in the Purple Dragons, and that's the only thing that's going on. I think overall, season 1 through season 5, like I said, are my favorite seasons of 2003. Back to the Sewers was filler. It felt like it was just there to make profit on toys. When they got back to the Sewers, no pun intended, back to the Sewers, I feel like they were trying to redo the 2003 in a different animation form, trying to get that old-fashioned feel back. But by then, they lost the concept. They didn't feel, it doesn't feel the same, but didn't feel as bad as Fast Forward. It was more of, hey, let's try to make this more mainstream, but keep it dark. I don't know. I think overall, would I ever watch this from start to finish again? Probably not. I'd probably just watch season 1 through season 5 again, because those are my favorite seasons. But when it comes down to, TMNT, I really do believe it belongs in this world of 2003. I do believe Turtles Forever was a great filler episode, or episodes that was turned into a movie. It wasn't really necessary. It would have been better. But the other thing I want to say is there is a lot more to the 2003 show that the Ultimate Collection does not have. There was a lot of shorts on YouTube of the 2003 show with the same voices and the same attitudes of the actual 2003 show that was put on something. I don't know if it was put on Nickelodeon, Fox, or if it was put on the DVDs that I don't have. But they also have Mutant from Monster Island. Is that what it is? Some people consider it season 7, episode 14, the one after April O'Neil and Casey Jones gets married. I did watch it. It was fantastic. Again, it was an episode that was originally shorts that they played in between episodes. So it wasn't really an episode. It was just all these 1 minute shorts, 1 or 2 minute shorts put together for a 17-minute episode that they added at the end of the 2003 era. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I love it. It wasn't anything that was necessary, but again, it falls into place because they go to the Jurassic period. They go to different time periods in this just to defeat the Purple Dragons and a few other things that's going on in these shorts. But again, they were shorts all put together. But I think overall they need them to be in this box set. They called this the Ultimate Collection, and I loved watching it. It was fantastic. I hope you guys still go watch it. but it's not ultimate. They could have added the shorts. They could have added, the commercials for Turtles Forever. They could have added, toy commercials. They could have added all kinds of things. Mutant, the mutant mutant island and all that into it. But they didn't. They just went for basic. Now I know people say maybe this is what Paramount had and they just threw it together, but to me that's not an excuse now. Knowing that you can find them on YouTube and some other streaming services for free, not really streaming services, but like YouTube, Daily Motion, and all these other ones for free. There's no excuse. You can find some of these commercials on Internet Archives and stuff. If they really wanted to make it the Ultimate Collection, they would have hunted down footage. Even if it wasn't a perfect 480 or 1080p footage, they could have done it. But they chose not to do it. So is this still the Ultimate Collection to me? Absolutely not. I am going to be burning a DVD with all this stuff in it to put in my case because honestly, until it has everything of the 2003 on it that I can find online, it will not be an Ultimate Collection until I have a burnt DVD with this stuff on it. Because sooner or later, things do go away and you won't be able to find it. You never know. YouTube could just go poof. Or the internet one day might be taken down. You never know. But you know what won't ever go away? Physical media. And stay tuned because next video will be most likely the 1987 Turtles because I still have to record that video. But thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time. Peace.